Working. So hello everyone, and really thank you for joining us today. I'm really excited to join this group of expertise with me on the stage to talk about AI and emerging technologies. As you know, AI and emerging technologies are no longer just a buzz. So it became in our reality, our daily life. So this is how now we are forced to adopt AI in our life. I will go straight to the questions. I will not make this speech long. And I will, after your permission, Ms. Asma, I'll start with Elias. So, Mr. Elias, talking about AI and how we are adopting AI, what do you think? What are the most critical factors driving AI emerging technology adoption globally today?
Do you like poetry?
Sorry?
Do you like poetry?
I like that, you take your time to explain to all of us. I'm sure everyone wants to hear this.
In 1802, William Wordsworth had a poem that included a term, "The child is the father of the man." Now, what has that got to do with what we're discussing today? Think about it for a minute. The child is the father of the man. Amazing. What a transformation from being a child to a man. And imagine the stages you passed through. Learning to walk, falling, walking, standing, learning, failing, learning, succeeding, until you become a man and then decide your direction, how you want to go, how you want to move in life. Now, compare that to a machine. If we're comparing this 30 years ago, we would be having a different discussion. Talking about it today, we need to compare the brain of that child that became a man to the brain of a machine. So when we're talking about digital transformation and when we're talking about artificial intelligence, today in reality we're not talking about artificial intelligence anymore. We're talking mostly about non-human intelligence. Artificial intelligence is more real. It's not artificial anymore, it's very real. So we're talking about non-human intelligence. So when I use that example about the poem of William Wordsworth, it's because I wanted to compare the transformation stages of a human to that of a machine. It is moving from one stage to the other, from one success story to the other, from one failure to another, or from a failure to a success. Right. So how can we look at this in today's corporate world, and who would benefit from this? What can we learn from it? Where is it taking us? Why is it so important globally? And what are the critical factors that are leading us towards this important global change in the way we do things? The mere fact we start talking about the way we do things, we're talking about culture. So basically what's happening globally is not a digital transformation. The digital transformation age is gone. It's finished. AI transformation, gone in certain parts of the world. Availability of technology is way ahead of what we are applying today or what we're using because of a handicap somewhere at culture level. So what we need to do is we need to start focusing on how we do things. And the most critical aspect is the opportunity created in the way we do things. So the business opportunity that is created in order for us to be able to succeed, create market share, and be able to take proper decisions as a result of certain information that's available to us that was not available to us in the past. So where do we have this information? Where do we get it from? Basically, it's all around us. The only difference is now there are new tools created by man through machines that would allow you to be able to execute them so fast. Again, so what has changed? Why is it now, not a few years ago, not 3 or 4 years ago? What is the difference between 2025 and what we had in 2022? What's the difference between 2024 and what's going to happen going forward towards 2030, which is only 5 years from now. Look at it from a financial perspective by looking at figures. In 2024, according to a very conservative assumption by one of the research agencies, global industry of artificial intelligence was around $184.5 billion, a very conservative number. In 2030, that same conservative assumption would take you to over $826 billion. Amazing, amazing growth rate. So, is that an opportunity or not? An opportunity for who? Not only for investors, but for those who are looking into specific value creation, whether at individual level or whether at a corporate level, whether at civil or military, whether it is profit-making or non-profit-making. Everyone is interested in being able to access a non-human intelligence who's sitting next to you and will be able to take you at a scale that we have never seen before in history. And that will continue to change. Again, what is critical about it and why now, not before? Because we have reached to a certain stage of innovation that is different than we had 4 or 5 years ago. The number of innovations available to be used today through artificial intelligence or artificial intelligence tool, whether agentic or none, has reached to a stage of maturity in terms of its commercial value and ability to monetize it. Therefore, the war of innovation in terms of putting ideas into execution is nearly at its end. Okay, there is a truce there. It will never stop. It will continue. However, since there is a truce, those with big pockets, large organizations that would not want to lose their global market share and global control of the game, would then now start looking at what is happening within this particular ecosystem, how they will grow their market share within this particular ecosystem, how they grow their own circle within all these circles within this ecosystem to make sure that they are in control. And that would not stop at commercial level, will continue at corporate, at government levels, large international organization levels, etc. And this is basically the importance of making sure that we do not underestimate the importance of what's happening today and what we're discussing throughout this conference. Because digital transformation is in the past, we need to focus on making sure that we adapt to the cultural change that's happening around us and within our own organizations. Starting from the top of your organization to the least involved person within your own organization. So from my perspective, the most critical factor is the opportunity to control. To what extent you would be able to control whatever line of interest you're in. This is it.
Well said, Elias. Now, talking about the control and all this, for Ms. Asma, how should organizations balance the speed of innovation with the need for responsible and sustainable adoption?
Well, thank you for the question. It's a great question. And I think many organizations are, with the limited resources that they have, there has to be a balance between really innovating and experimenting, but also how do we put a framework around it to get value out of these experimentations, whether in terms of learnings, whether it is in terms of productizing it or doing something with it. So I think the main thing into how organizations can strike a balance is by really setting governance frameworks as well as a strategy. What do you want to experiment in? What are the impact that you want to have as an organization? And then setting these kind of frameworks in place to really speed up experimentation in a way that provides impact to the organization you're working with. So having some instances for reviews, for really assessing, is this something that can be scalable? Is this something that can be adopted on a larger scale in the enterprise? So yes, innovation is really important, but it's not a race. You have to have some moments to really reflect on what you're experimenting in, what do you want to experiment in, and then how do you factor it in with the resources you have, and how do you have a return on investment from these initiatives and approaches.
Okay, from a different industry point of view, Nikita, how do you or how should organization balance the speed of innovation with the need of responsible and sustainable adoption?
Of course, we are experimenting a lot, and the main factor is first of all we should measure our experiments, how successful they are, and we need to make sure that if we see that experiment is not working, we just stopping it. It's also very important to know the moment where you're stopping to innovate and start adopting, or just close the project. And from the moment when we see that experiment is successful, here is a part of culture. So innovation is only part of the culture. Another part of the culture is ownership. So people should own the products that they are building, own the innovations that they are building, and make sure that if innovation is successful, if the experiment is good, it's going to adapt across the company. And people in the company should be open to adopt these innovations, because the most blocker of any change, it's the people usually in the company. It's not technology, it's not a product, it's the people. They need to be convinced, and the culture in the company should be to accept the changes for good.
Going back to you, Asma, because you're holding the history, so your department or your industry that you're working at is holding the history. What strategies can leaders use to align AI and innovation initiatives with long-term business objectives?
So leaders should shift away from project-based thinking into really putting it as part of an ecosystem and part of a portfolio roadmap. So that's one of the main important things to do. The other thing as well is really tying the experimentation and the innovation that you have with the AI to business goals. So what do you want to achieve as an organization, and then how do you set an ecosystem of experimentation to achieve that, and then translating those kind of experiments and pilots into long-term deliverables. So to also achieve long-term deliverables, you really have to engage with the right people in the organization. Like the gentleman said, culture is really one big part of adoption in terms of AI and innovation, but also inclusivity of internal teams. So you have to include all of the teams and the organization early on to create working groups and ensure that there is a uniformed strategy, there is a uniformed language, and there is a uniformed way of really setting AI adoption, setting data-based OKRs to define the results of these initiatives and define how to grow these kind of approaches and roadmaps.
Thank you, Asma. Now going to Francisco. What considerations are essential when building governance and risk management framework for emerging technologies?
Thank you. In my case, I'm working in the financial sector. So first of all, what we have is regulation that we have been to comply with. So how we are doing this is that we have created a framework that is a change risk management framework. This change risk management framework is including different types of initiatives, different types of changes that can put in the worst scenario the bank at risk. So we have in our framework, we have very clearly defined what are our risk metrics, what we are considering is a high risk, what is a moderate risk, what is a low risk. So when these initiatives are coming to us, we have within this framework, we have created also a product and change risk management committee. So in this committee, we are, let's say, assessing what are the initiatives that can be artificial intelligence, can be robotics, can be different type of changes that or transformations that are going through the organization, in order that we will apply our framework. Our framework is an easy one. That is, we need to be able to identify, assess, to have a prioritization, and to accept or mitigate the risk. With this, we have different type of risks across the organization that can be technology risk, can be information security risk, can be conduct risk, can be operational risk. So the first line of defense, which is business and technology, they are assessing the risk. And after that, we are ensuring that the risks are known, and the risks that we have to improve or we have to implement some action plans are in place. In order that we will be able to assess the whole portfolio about the changes in the organization. Particularly with artificial intelligence, we create also a framework within this change risk management, which is allowing to us as well to be in compliance with the Qatar Central Bank requirements, and also will be able to identify what are the high-risk artificial intelligence artifacts. So we are as well within this change risk management framework addressing all of the artificial intelligence, and we are applying the controls in order, to mitigate the risk. The risk that they are coming for the AI can be related to information security, related to consumer protection, can be related to the data privacy. So we are addressing all of the risk, and we are going to the committees and we are analyzing the risk in a proper way, which is a framework that we have in the organization and is well known by the first lines.
Thank you. Tarek, if I may ask you the same question, as the database you're holding at your industry is as critical as banking and insurance. So can you give me an answer to what considerations are essential when building governance and risk management frameworks for emerging technologies?
So you said it well, it's emerging technology. And for me, not everyone, let me speak about myself. So I put AI under emerging technology only. And after a few years, we are going to see general AI. So it exists since 1960. It's evolving. I agree it has revolution at this moment, not just evolution. We admire that. But the thing is, it's still under emerging technology. In order to have the proper framework, fortunately, at this stage and at this time, we have two amazing frameworks, which is AI Prism framework and which is the NIST framework 1.0. And they will tell you what are the security controls required even to implement in order to safeguard your data. I can elaborate on this, but this will come. I'm going to highlight more on this topic, securing the AI, on the coming question.
Thank you, Tarek. Now, before we wrap up the strategic approach of AI, question for Elias again. How do responsible adoption practice compare with rapid, unregulated innovation in terms of business impact?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Okay, can you ask again?
What?
Can you repeat your question?
Okay, I'll repeat the question. How do responsible adoption practice compare with rapid, unregulated innovation in terms of business impact?
Very simple. I can give you examples, or at least I can name certain disasters in disasters that have resulted out of lack of proper corporate governance. One of them, in one way or another, related to innovation in technology, is a regional case that we have, Abraj Group in 2018, and it was a big failure. Another example in fintech industry happened this year, early in January 2025, although it started somewhere in 2024, and that is cushion. It's an amazing, it was a fantastic invention, but took the wrong turn as a result of miscalculation of the risk management, whether on financial management, financial exposure, or corporate governance. So going back into all this, the core of success and failure starts with corporate governance. You make sure that you have proper foundation, and this strategic foundation should be built on proper corporate governance before we started taking things further into different directions.
So briefly, if you can just answer this question, Francisco.
I mean, this is what I have covered as well in the other question. I mean, fully agree that we need to have a corporate governance framework, but I think that the answer is, I mean, very easy. We need to treat our customers fairly. At the moment that we have this ethics and we have this conduct risk in every type of business, and at the moment that we are having our models that in case that we are using AI as well validated, we are validating the outputs, we are validating how the models are working, it should be in a very transparent way. We need to have also human intervention that in case of high risk AI can be necessary, we need to apply as well. But with the principle that we have a business, we need to treat our customers fairly. And if our models are treating our customers fairly, we don't have a problem in the development of AI.
Okay. Now,
I have a word on this.
Please.
So mainly we need to have one step backward and to see what's the problem, right? So and there is always thinking or afterthought thinking that let's adopt something and then we think about what was the challenge, what was the problem. So mainly we have two problems or two concerns about AI, right? So first one is data exposure, data oversharing, and the lack of safeguard protecting the data from security and privacy. And the second one is the expected outcome from the AI itself, the result, and then hallucination, and ethics and legal, let's say, complication may any organization face, right? So in order to address these two main challenges, so we need to think about I see four, let's say, key areas. And it was mentioned by my panelist colleague, governance, and it was like explicitly said a lot about it. But mainly governance, it has to be around bias, right? Validation against bias, ethics, right? And putting the right policies and procedure, relevant right policies and procedure at the governance framework. And this has to be always audited, monitored continuously, and validated and tested in order to make sure that the data outcome is unbiased, etc. Security control are working, we are compliant against certain standard. And then it will be the trustworthiness of the AI, right? So giving the example of open kitchen, like cooking station, right? So everything is chopped, cooked, prepared in front of you, like you see everything clean, neat, you know what you are eating, right? So there is a saying, I want to know what I'm eating. So same for AI. So you need to make sure that to validate everything these LLMs are doing, these parameters are doing, in order to have the bond with the module. So if you are like, don't trust the model, you will not be adopting the module, right? So this is trustworthiness of the AI. So you need to have the data is understood for you, and the outcome is accurate according to your expectation. Then is it reliable, performance-wise, available, is it performance and the expected outcome at the same time? And the fairness. Again, it's about the having the data unbiased and ethical and etc. And last, which is the technology part, protecting the data from security perspective and privacy perspective.
So wrapping up the strategic approach of adopting or AI adoption, now moving to the benefits. So talking about the benefits, question for Ms. Asma. So beyond productivity, what broader business or society outcomes can organizations can organizations get from adopting emerging technologies?
Thank
I
you.
had a mistake in the, in the text.
No worries.
Sorry for that.
No worries. So beyond the productivity and efficiency, we are exploring AI in terms of personalized digital experiences, accessibility, relevancy, cultural preservation, and other as well, other ways of using AI as a benefit. But these are the main things that we're looking towards, and there are other many benefits and outcomes, but these are kind of the things that I'm personally also focusing on in my line of work.
Thank you, Asma. Nikita, how can AI and innovation help organizations create more customer-centric and adaptive business models?
Historically, innovations was mostly we have R&D departments, we have a tech department, engineers, and so on. But the beauty of AI is that now we access to the innovation is drastically reduced. So everyone in a company actually can start innovating. And one of the challenge for a business is to empower your employees, your own employees, with a safe and good access to the AI capabilities. Yeah, we already in Snoonu we have AI center of the knowledge of the AI, where our engineers helping every employee who is interested in innovation, who is interested to adopt AI in their everyday work. We are just helping them and explaining them how to use it safe and properly to their work. And we already have a lot of examples across the company where non-tech employees, they start by themselves using AI, they start improving the processes. And I believe empowering and provide access to everyone will help these people who are working with the customers every day, and customers in our case, it's not only like people who are ordering, but merchants, restaurants, drivers, and so on. They know their problems, and since they can innovate themselves very fast, it will significantly improve everything, customer experiences, processes at the company, and overall culture.
Great answer. Tarek, you were talking about frameworks just a few minutes back. So what role do responsible frameworks play in ensuring equitable benefits from AI and new technologies?
Yeah, mainly we need to balance the security and the business requirement. So security should not be hindering business outcome. It should complement, and on this, even more I would say, it should provide resiliency for these solutions to stay available. So governance, usually after, as we mentioned, it's afterthought, and whenever you want to implement it or implement it when everything is production, it will be more difficult and it will be more interruptive even. But if it is embedded at the beginning of any initiative, it will be much easier to adopt and accept.
Okay, so anyone wants to add anything about the impact and the benefits of adopting AI?
I want to, comment something as well related to our reviews and our framework when we are reviewing AI and when we are reviewing other solutions. I mean, what you have commented is totally right. I mean, the risks need to be managed from the beginning, and the frameworks need to be managed from the beginning. So when the emerging technologies, AI or whatever technology that we are talking about is failing, majority of them is coming from because the business case are not properly defined, because the definitions are not properly defined. If the definitions are not properly defined, the testing will be wrong. There should be some principles that need to come from the beginning. It's very important that the business cases, all of the definitions, the people that need to be engaged will be engaged from the beginning. The people will understand what is the change, what is the output, what are the benefits, what are the risks of the solutions. And after that, the governance will be implemented, will be effectively implemented, that will be embedded and will be part of the process. This will help as well to the organization, as well particularly with AI. And the AI is not something that is isolated in some people. It is something as well that, is part of our daily work. So how the AI and how the emerging technologies are embedded as well across the organization, and this will not be only a part of the organization, how this will be embedded as well across the organization is very important at the end.
Excellent answers. Now, moving to the practicals, like how we implement AI in our industries. And of course, there will be a lot of challenges. So the question is to Elias, can you share an example of how your organization successfully leveraged AI or emerging tech to address a key challenge?
Yes, of course. Initially, you need to sort out or prioritize the problem areas or the pain areas that you want to solve. And once you do that, you need to start putting the plan in order to do it. So 5 years ago, nearly 5 years ago, we established an innovation committee at the company. This innovation committee had representatives from every single department within the committee, within the company. And then they came up with ideas. And there was a flow of ideas of either problems to solve or ideas that probably potentially will be a problem that you then need to solve. So, and this is what my colleague was referring to earlier, saying make sure that you define a problem to solve, not create an idea that becomes a problem.
Yes.
So out of over 42 or 43 different approved or applicable ideas, we have identified at management level 2 to adopt in order to move them forward. So first you need to identify those problems, prioritize them, identify them, and then you need to allocate the resources needed in order to be able to apply them. And this, at that time, it wasn't only about artificial intelligence. It's about resolving specific pain areas that would create an opportunity for you to be able to grow in your business. And we are an insurance company. Seib is an insurance company. So we have identified specific pain areas that today are probably identified as problematic, but then can create an opportunity to make money in the future. So very simple, I give you an example. In motor claims. Motor claims, all right, it was an extremely labor-intensive business in terms of the process, in terms of application of processes, in terms of dealing with customers, etc. We have reached a stage where, at one hand, it is nearly fully automated, and then on the other hand, saves us on operational cost because of the reduced paperwork and other resources that are archaic resources now we call them, that we used to depend on. So this is only on one angle. This is at an operational level. So first we had to plug it at a strategic objective level, put the proper plan in order to implement it, and make sure that we implement it properly within a proper time frame. The other level is to move it to move the whole idea of transformation of business processes into the upper echelon, to take it up to the board level. And that would require you to also educate the board, because you need not only to educate them in relation to what they should personally know, but also in relation to what is the impact on the business if we don't do it now, so that you get the clearance above, create the change that you need moving forward, and then establish for a future culture that will be able to put you on a competitive landscape moving forward. And we've done it not only in one line of business, but we've done that in several lines, and we continue to do it. The element here, and the most important critical element between 5 years ago and today, is the level of education that you need to implant into the people that you depend on in your business. What level of training? Starting from senior leadership all the way down, and specifically in relation to the technologies available within the AI ecosystem that they will be able to use at the personal level going forward in the future.
Ms. Asma, you want to add something to what Elias has said already?
Yeah, I can share an example that we've worked with in Qatar Museum, which is, I think, one of the most success stories that we have. So in Qatar Museum, we have launched the Qatar Museum AI Tour. And I talked previously about two main important things, which is personalization, using AI for personalization, and also making sure that when you build an AI, that you have an ecosystem around it, and that you make it part of your portfolio roadmap. And that's what we exactly have done as part of the QM AI Tour. So basically what we have done is that we used AI technology to let me give you the context first. So Qatar Museum is a very big entity. So Qatar Museum handles all of the museums here in Qatar, and it handles all of the creative hubs like M7, Liwan, Fire Station. It also handles all of the heritage sites, as well as many, many other programs like public art. So we have a wealth of information. We also pride ourselves to create evergreen creative content and multimedia. So we have a lot of things to cater and to give to our audiences, our external audiences. So one of the main things that we have looked at into our AI adoption is how can we use AI to personalize the experience to the individual user? How can we, instead of them going through the multiple content and the stories that we have to tell, how can we use AI to personalize a story or a tour to each individual based on their preferences, how long they're staying, what are they interested in, what are their interests, are they coming with their family or their own, and so on. And this is where the AI tour came, which is the result of all of this thinking. And that's why you have to have a business need and a pain point for you to use a technology, because at the end of the day, a technology is means to an end. So what is your end? So in the QM AI Tour, this is basically what we have done. We use AI to personalize tours. So when people visit the AI Tour web app, so we made it a web app because to make it more accessible, but then we also use AI to further that accessibility and relevancy so that a tour is set and generated specifically for you according to your own needs, according to your own interest, and how long time you have. And then you can also interact with the AI agent, it's called AI art specialist, to ask questions about the artwork you're interested in, to ask questions about Qatar Museum. And then how did we make it part of an ecosystem is that we have integrated what we are all doing into this AI tour. So we have included our online collection, we have included our documentaries, we have included our stories, we have included all of the content that we have available, and then we use AI to personalize it in a structured and responsible way to create something for you, but in a way that is reflective of the stories that we are telling. So this is one of the examples we had, and one of the learnings that we've done is that yes, AI can drive long-term sustainability and goals, as well as this project was a collaboration between us and different entities like the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology. So we saw the value as well of partnering. So it doesn't have to be kind of a siloed thing your organization does, but how can you foster partnerships with different entities, with government entities, to achieve your goal? Because at the end of the day, also the AI art tool is part of a bigger tourism industry. So how do we leverage that kind of partnership with the different entities to get a bigger benefit for the state itself, and be part of also a bigger portfolio than the portfolio within the organization? So I think these are one of the main things that we have done. We're also continue to iterate it and continue to add more features into it to make sure it's growing and sustainable. So yeah, I think that's the example I wanted to share.
Thank you, Asma. So Tarek, linking the dots between what Elias and Asma just said, what best practices exist for evaluating, monitoring, and scaling innovative solutions responsibly?
We are talking about solution in general, or we are still the main topic is AI itself,
it's
right?
AI.
Okay. So we spoke about governance, we spoke about frameworks, we spoke about the security controls should be in place. We need to speak about as well data readiness, right? Because Elias mentioned about the business cases. I mentioned about having the buy-in from the senior management, buy-in from the employee of the organization, and then it has to be the data readiness to be sanitized, cleaned, normalized, and of course unbiased if there is some such use cases. This is one. As a leader, what we need to consider before adopting any technology and AI and specific, first of all, we need to have we agreed on it, we mentioned it multiple times, to have the governance in place and the relevant policies and procedures on the guideline. Second, you need to do inventory of your application, inventory of your databases, right? Inventory, if in case you're already adopting AI, you need to make inventory of the application, AI application you have, and even the agentic AI you are using in your environment, right? And then thirdly, you need to make sure that you have implemented the safeguard to protect the information from privacy and the protection. And this is kind of remediation, right? So this is risk remediation. So on the governance, I define what's the risk, right? Then thirdly, we need to make sure that we are implementing the necessary security controls, people, process, technology in order to mitigate the risk. And what else might cross my mind? So this is it. Yani. So it has to be addressed holistically in order to make sure that we are adopting the emerging technology, which is I prefer to like it, while the business is able to fulfill their desired outcome.
Okay, just due to limitation of time, I will ask one more question, but this question will be for all of you, and please feel free to answer according to your industry. So for companies just beginning with AI adoption and all this, what would be the advice that you would give to those companies and to the IT people leading those companies? Like what are the steps or the things that they need to take care of before implementing AI? And this is a question to all.
Maybe I can start.
Yes.
So before implementing any AI application or use case, it's really important to get the buy-in from the different working groups. So you have to establish your own working group, the different multidisciplinary people in your organization, to make sure that they are on board. And then you have all to set a strategy together on what do you want the AI to accomplish, what are the pain points that you want the AI to solve, and then really have a really good communication internally and externally to make sure that you tie your AI application to KPIs, and whenever those KPIs are met, what are the next steps? So I think one of the main important point, which is also kind of covers the mindset and culture, is to move away from siloed approaches where every department does its own thing, and really set a multidisciplinary working group with everyone in the organization that can bring value to the application and involve them as early as possible, so that it can grow organically rather than it's a one-way or a one-way communication or top-down communication. So from my perspective, that's the most important thing.
Thank you, Asma. Elias, from you?
Very quickly, if it's an AI startup, and probably that's what I understood you wanted to focus on, make sure that your business plan had accurate and proper analysis of the market in terms of competitive advantage. Second, access to capital. Make sure it's sustainable and that it will continue to be available as you move on throughout the journey, because the journey is a long journey. And the third thing, rules and regulations, and make sure that your corporate governance framework focuses very clearly on rules and regulations that will impact your business, not only today, not only in your territory, because your solution or your business would probably become global. So you need to look at all these aspects, at least these three to start with.
Tarek, from your side?
Yeah.
So any advice for people starting?
Anything you do in life, be proactive. Don't wait for the last moment to start the preparation. And everything can avoid you unexpected outcome or undesired outcome. So you need to think about it holistically. So you need to touch base on all the pillars that you are going to construct your project on.
Francisco?
For me, it's culture. Okay, this will be embedded in the culture of the organization. Second of all, two aspects. One is productivity. AI will have benefits in the productivity and also in the business cases that are coming from our business. And the third one, which we have been commenting as well, is data. Okay, the AI will go better if our data management, data governance, data infrastructure is better.
Nikita?
Yep, like actually I spoke 15 minutes about it just a few hours ago, and my colleague already provided a lot of your ideas. So just from my side, just experiment, try again until you will actually achieve it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for listening to us. I think it was great knowledge from all of you. And until the next conference.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ali.